Welcome to the semester, y'all. My name is Travis Phillips. Some might see my name out there as Paul Phillips or Paul Travis Phillips. Any you choose, you're free to call me. Y'all are registered for Art 288 Studio, and let's just be clear, this is by far the best course that we offer at Rowan Cabarrus Community College, and I say that from a completely unbiased opinion. For those of you who have been pursuing your AFA degree, your Associate in Fine Arts, or your design degrees, this is the opportunity for you to take all of the foundation level skills that you've been learning and exploring and experimenting across your other media and start to actually embed and pursue those media with your ideas and test the waters for what it will look like for you as an artist or a designer after you've graduated from Rowan, and potentially to test the water of what it feels like to be an artist or a designer who's operating without, a teacher giving you very specific assignments with very specific end goals, right? Because in the end, once you graduate, the real challenge is how do you make this whole thing work without someone telling you what to do? And this class is an opportunity for you to explore that. By way of, keeping you guys abreast as to who I am, my background is a conceptual artist. I place a great amount of emphasis on ideas. Ideas for me are the starting point, and based on my idea, right, I conduct research relevant to my idea. And then thereafter, I start to select what mediums would be appropriate for the idea, because let's be perfectly clear, some ideas don't exist well in sculpture, and some ideas don't exist well in painting. So the medium is selected after the idea, and then I start to work through compositional ideas last. So just so you know, that's kind of the basic outline that I'll be pushing you guys to explore this semester. And just know that ideas for me are paramount. Ideas are what make the world interesting. And as artists and designers who are trying to contribute to an interesting world, I'm going to try and get you to kind of follow that same path. So that's who I am. Just know that this semester is going to be idea heavy, and then also production heavy in the studio. And hopefully this is quite interesting for you, because they will be your ideas that you are exploring, and they will be your ideas that you'll be making and working through. I think that hands down, any student who successfully completes this course, they look back and say it was by far the best, because they had freedom rather than a teacher saying do this with graphite of a tulip, right? Because who likes still lives? So great, welcome. So glad to have you. Just some bullet points as we run through the welcome. After this video, the first thing that I need you to do is to click the Start Here tab, scroll down to the EVA assignment. That's your entry verification. If you do not complete the entry verification assignment, you will not have access to any of the other content for this course. And if you don't complete that assignment by, I think, the 1st of February, you'll be removed from the class. So let's just make sure that that doesn't happen. Complete the EVA. You literally just have to answer questions. You don't even have to answer them correctly. You just have to click through them. Obviously, it's best if you actually read them, because it kind of gives you some guides as to how online course instruction functions. But to be perfectly clear, I operate a little bit differently as an instructor, so just do the EVA so that you've been verified, and then we'll work from there. All right, so once you've done the EVA, then it'll be time to get the book that we'll be starting the semester with. I sent an email out last week mentioning that we'll be beginning with the book, which is Art and Fear. The book is quite good, and it's actually really easy to read because it's written by artists for artists. It's not full of fluff and boring facts and boring dates. It's just, these are the ideas that I work with as an artist. What ideas are you working with as an artist? These are the struggles that I have as an artist. What are the struggles that you have as an artist? It's very, very conversational, very easy to read. So get that book. It's no more than $10. I think the most expensive I've actually ever seen a student have to pay is $7. But I also know that if you Google Art and Fear with PDF at the end or in the search field, there are some online versions that exist as well. I do prefer that you have access to a physical copy, be it something that you can mark up in a digital format or an actual printed or bound book. The benefit to a printed or tangible book or a digital one that you can mark in is that you can mark in it. Anything that's interesting to you, you can circle it, underline it, ostracize. You can cross through it and say, I really don't agree with any of this, or just, indicate that this is an important section for you to return to later. Additionally, as you're working through a book, the book is going to be tethered to some discussion board posts, and it'll be important for you to be able to reference back to the pages that are interesting to you. And when you're writing your post, I'll be requesting that you cite page numbers so that the rest of the classmates that you're working with, as well as myself, can reference back to that page when we're reading your post, so that we can all be working through the same ideas and content. So EVA, gain access to Art and Fear. Those are the two main things that I need you to do. Cool. So those are out of the way. Give you some overview as to what to expect this semester. In this class, we're going to consider a few things on the front end. So I guess the structure of the class is 4 parts. The first part is reading and thinking and writing. The second part is a proposal. This proposal is going to be something that you construct. You propose a major project that you'll spend the entire semester working on. And that major project, you're going to be using me as a resource for technique, for materials, for composition, for researching your ideas, and for working through how this whole thing that you're trying to make makes sense to the world, makes sense to yourself, and then potentially how to use these projects that you're working on to get shows or to make sales or to get into a school that you're wanting to transfer after. So we'll be working through kind of that whole slew, right? Once that proposal has been done and it's been approved, then you're going to get to work. That's where you actually spend the majority of the semester making the work that you want to make. And then I'll be working alongside of you as a consultant or a teacher, right? And then the last part of the semester is dedicated to, very shortly, a project statement. So the structure is, the beginning of the semester, we try and figure out what you want to do. Then you say what you want to do, and then you do it, and then you say what you did. So those are the 4 component parts. And I try and outline it as simply as possible, just so that we can keep everything nice and tidy and focus all of the attention on the actual making, because that's where the really good is. So at the beginning of the semester, I'm going to be asking you some basic questions. What is art, right? If we are art majors or art teachers, I think it's kind of important to recognize that the definition of what art is very loose. So for us as practicing, aspiring, or professional artists, I think trying to get a good idea as to what we think art is really helpful. So then the next question would be, what is the role of art in society today? I assume that you guys have taken some art history classes. And the role of art, say, in the 15th century is remarkably different than the role of art today. And if we are going to be artists, you can't go back to the 15th century and be an artist back then. Unfortunately, you're kind of bound by space and time like the rest of us. So considering what the role of art is in society today is a remarkably helpful thing, because then it leads to what the next question would be, which is, what do you want your role to be as an artist in society today? It's pretty interesting to actually break things down that simply. And I'll work through all of these questions with you. And then all of this really hangs on one underlying idea, which is, what are you even interested in? What do you care about? And what do you want to make your work about? Inevitably, when I ask what people care about, they give this like expected answer. Well, I care about my friends and my family. Good for you. You're human. I guarantee you that very few people in this world want to make artwork or design work about their friends and family. And those who do want to make work only about their own friends and family probably aren't going to make interesting enough work that's going to activate other people's imaginations and provide a good infrastructure for someone to make a career out of that, right? There are these underlying things that each and every person is paying attention to. Each and every person is interested in, and they're different for everyone. If you can tap into what really is fascinating to you and figure out why it's fascinating to you, we can make some really, really cool stuff. And so that's kind of the challenge, trying to figure out what is most interesting to you and how do we use that as effective fodder to make good art and design from. So that's kind of like the breakdown in my motivations as your instructor this semester. It is to get you thinking your thoughts as opposed to getting you to think the thoughts that teachers told you to think, which will probably take a little bit of adjustment. And if it's really confusing on the front end, please let me know. And the best opportunity for you to let me know is, one, via email, travis.phillips@rccc.edu, or in your required weekly meeting with me. That's the recurring assignment that you'll have every week. Generally speaking, we're going to have different assignments. The only one that's consistent every week is a one-on-one meeting with me via Teams, Zoom, or we can have an audio call as well. And you should budget about 30 minutes for them. These one-on-one meetings are going to be the backbone of the semester for both of us. In these meetings, I'll be helping you weigh through all of the questions that I just outlined. I'll be trying to help you figure out specifically the types of work that you want to make. And I will be trying my best to help contextualize your interests to the world. Because if you can contextualize the things that you're most interested in to the world will start to pay attention. And that's where you'll get shows and sales, and you'll be able to effectively transfer to other institutions. Or you'll get contracts that actually provide an infrastructure for you to, build a living out of. So those conversations will be kind of a collaboration for us. And they're also really great opportunities for you to ask specific questions, say, about chapters 1 through 2 of Art and Fear. Maybe there's something that you really have a question about that isn't very easy to ask or address in a discussion board. We'll have a conversation about that. Or if you just have a technical question about how to work with a specific material or a compositional issue, that's when I'm going to give you all of that instruction. So, yeah, welcome. I'm very excited. I hope you are. Again, best class, absolute best class. And yeah, for those who commit to the coursework and are open to a kind of alternate teaching style, this class will definitely be helpful in contextualizing your role as an artist and designer and how to contextualize building a career as an artist and a designer. So I'm looking forward to catching up with all of you soon. Please read through the weekly to-do list that I'm posting. It's stuff that I've mostly already covered, but the last bit is actually establishing what time slot you want for our weekly meeting. That's going to have to be done via email until we actually start those meetings. So yeah, I look forward to catching up with each of you soon. Thanks.